Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and join with me today is Chris, as always. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going?
And yeah, once again, if you guys are checking out this show for the first time or if you're a returning viewer, make sure to hit that like button, that thumbs up there on the screen. That helps out, as well as make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All kinds of different comic book content, I swear, is upcoming. I'm a little late in getting some of that stuff out there. I do monthly, usually comic book hauls of collected edition comic books, like, trade paperbacks, omnibuses, hardcovers that I collect, as you can see in the background with all my bookshelves here filled. And I usually read a bunch of them every month outside of the weekly new release comic books that we talk about here on this show. So I usually do monthly hauls and reviews. And we're hoping to do some other kind of stuff, maybe like showcasing some of our collections of certain things, other interests that people have here on this new YouTube channel. A lot of the guys here that are, hosts on the Late Night Chat Network, our other channel here on YouTube. And so, yeah, so definitely check out some of the other things that we have here. We have a bunch of older playlists of different types of comic book related content, as well as other hobby type stuff that we're into. Cards, there's a lot of collectible card game type stuff that we have on here on the Late Night Collectors community. So yeah, definitely take a look at our library if you're new to the channel, and make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button and leave us a comment if you want to continue the chat. Let us know if there's something that we've been missing out on talking about here, something good that's really that's been coming out. I think between me and Chris, we read quite a lot of the new stuff that's at least worth mentioning these days. So I think we're doing pretty good, but you never know. Maybe there's something else that we've been missing out on, eh, Chris?
Yeah, well, a lot of indie stuff out there you catch most of that stuff though.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Image, and I'm looking at trying to pick up some Dynamite stuff sooner or later, but this doesn't come into the store too often.
Yeah. Some of that cheesecake. There's some
kind of
quality
like those covers.
There's some quality stuff coming out of there. What can I say? I do agree with that. There is some good stuff, but yeah, there's also, you gotta love those covers for sure. Yeah, as always, thank you for tuning in. If you guys, have continued with us on this journey of doing this show, got some exciting stuff to talk about here. So stay tuned to the end of the episode. And as always, look towards the show notes. If there's certain things you don't want to hear us talk about because you haven't read your books yet, remember, there's a spoiler warning for you guys. We do sometimes have to talk about some things to kind of get to include the certain points in our discussions that we've read out of these books this week. So if there is things that you're worried about getting spoiled on, take a look at the show notes, maybe avoid those, come back, go back and read your stuff, make sure you've read it, and then come back and watch the show, or just avoid certain segments altogether, all portions of the episode. You can bounce around using the show notes that I always put out there for you guys, make it easy for you. Or, just go on. Who cares about the spoilers? Spoilers be damn it.
Not big spoilers anyways.
No, we try not to. We try to avoid big spoilers. And if there is ever a big spoiler that I'm about to drop, I'll even mention it at the time before I actually mention it in the discussion. Me and Chris are like, I don't know, should we mention this? Because sometimes there's things we want to talk about, guys, that happen in these issues. But like most of the big kind of reveals at the end of the issue, we usually won't touch on until like the next time the issue comes out or something. So, we try our best in that regard as well. But yeah, here's your weekly spoiler warning for you guys, just in case you're worried about these things getting spoiled. So, all right. Well, without further ado, though, let's get into it here. Let's talk some comics, as Chris always says here.
All right.
Devil's Reign number 4 is first up on the docket here for you guys here this week.
Oh,
nice cover.
I love the X-Gwen covers, and I got the regular one.
Got the Psylocke. Gwen Psylocke, for the Gwenpool. Gwenpool.
X-Gwen variants, I guess.
Yes. That's a nice one. I do like it.
Not bad.
Yeah, I do like it.
Betsy Cola.
Yeah.
No, that's the artist, I imagine.
Pepsi Cola is the name.
No, Betsy.
Oh, I thought you were trying to equate it to, like, you know what I mean? You got classic Coke or like
no.
This is the Pepsi Cola.
That's the name on the cover there.
That's why I was like, I don't know where you're going with this, but I don't know. That was kind of funny. I was like, Pepsi Cola. Okay, sorry, I heard the wrong name. My bad. Shout out to that cover artist then. That's a nice one.
That's it.
But Chris, yeah, let us, you can start off here. What'd you think about this? I know, you've been, I wouldn't say you've been down on the event thus far, but it hasn't been blowing your socks off, I think, for the last couple issues, if I can speak for you a little bit.
Well, this issue's getting back to business, so I like this issue a lot. let's see. I like the lettering when Fisk is talking, when he kind of starts using his purple man power, and then the letters kind of go purple, and everybody's okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I thought that was pretty good. And the heroes fighting back in this issue, that was good to see.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhino made a bit of a, not a face turn, but he had a bit of a battle of conscience there. So that was interesting. And just seeing Doc Ock and Fisk kind of talking to each other too. Anything with Ock now. I know why I'm so into whatever he does, but he's still I just like the way he talks in there, and just kind of how they're battling for power, like wasn't there a conversation where Fisk was saying, "Hey Ock, how come you haven't got me yet? Oh, I'll let you do what you want to do, but I'm up for the bigger prize," or something.
Yeah, because I think he's kind of like you seem to be satisfied with going out there and kissing babies and doing your mayor.
Yeah.
I'm on another journey altogether. Because he's always trying to be the most superior, the most like he has bigger,
grander plans. Yeah,
exactly. And if you guys had read the first issue, like I had talked about a few episodes back of this tie-in event that's happening, the 3-issue Doc Ock one. That is really the case. He's kind of at this point in time, outside of the Devil's Reign like main series event issues, has been going around and collecting different universes versions of himself and trying to make him, and then stealing the intellect from different Doc Ocks and other universes, along with the few that he's now hobbled together, and just to make himself smarter and far more superior, as he likes to go on about, as like, and then everybody else. So like, it is a classic kind of like mustache twirling villain type of mode. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think is great about the character, is that the writers do enjoy writing him so much. Like, and that's why there is so many great moments I feel these days with him, because he's so like, you know what I mean? Like he is a fun villain, honestly. Like he is a fun villain, like the way he thinks. He's like almost like the Lex Luthor to Superman almost, you know what I mean? To the Spider. And that's the way I look at him as, is like, he really just wants to be the best. Like he wants to be better than you. He's smarter than you. He's, you know what I mean? Like he thinks he should be farther in life, but meanwhile he's fucking, he's fighting.
Yeah, but he's still like freaking nowhere.
Right. Well, that's the great.
That's what I like about him.
But yeah, I agree with you. But I felt this was another solid chapter in this event. I love the Wolverine Doc Ock moment. Where they're drinking the best of whiskey, of course, through the Kingpin's office there, and he's talking about that. He's like, "Oh, is this?" He's like, "Come on, I wouldn't give you that swill. This is, of course, the best of whiskey."
Oh, yeah, well, it's him. Of course, he wants to see. He knows what he wants.
I love the Wolverine Doc Ock. That guy's awesome. Like you said, that Doc Ock moment was great. And yeah, this is actually one of probably the few today that I do want to talk about the reveal at the end of this issue, because it was actually reveal. This was a great reveal. This is what this issue I really liked about this. This was a great reveal where it was something like so obvious, like, and yet he surprised me that he put that together. Like it was just like it felt like something as a writer where you're like, oh, that's such a gem of a moment that like is so obvious. So Kingpin, he's been influencing people. People's appreciation for him as, I guess, as a mayor, or the voting, using the Purple Man's influence that he's had in this like power stone that he's basically concocted, right? And there's a moment towards the end of the issue where he's sitting there speaking to Typhoid Mary, who's now his wife, or is going to be his wife, and did they get married, or they're about to get married? I can't recall.
I think they're married already, because that's what started this all, when Daredevil kind of went to give him his wedding present and just kind of mocked him, and he's like, "Fuck, I know who this guy used to be. What the hell?"
It was at the end of the series, the main series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's holding the Power Stone thing with his cane there, and they're talking about their times in the past, where they kind of met each other for the first time and maybe hooked up, and he's just like, "Oh man." And Typhoid Mary's been through a whole thing with her head being fucking wiped, and he's like, "Fuck, I wish you could remember." And as soon as he says that, like you said, with the writing, it came up like the influence. And she's like, "Oh my God, I remember all those times together that we've shared in the past." And all of a sudden, and then he's like, "Oh my God," like a light bulb goes off. He goes to the roof and he's fucking out there. He's just yelling to like the sky, and like he's just like, "Oh, I gotta remember that I knew this guy," and he remembers that he's fucking Matt Murdock at the end of and I was like, "Oh fuck, it's on now." Like I was just like, but it was such a sick turn at the end of this issue. I was like,
such a good page at the end where he just has his name. He's like standing there in the rain, just freaking, and he almost seemed to kind of not calm down, but before when he's talking with Typhoid Mary, he goes, "Oh, I don't got to get up so upset to get that same level of satisfaction." He almost was like ready to just sit back. And now that he's remembered, he's freaking balls to the walls, guns to go.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Everybody knows that old Daredevil, that those are the worst times in Matt's life when the Kingpin is found out. Like, that's like the Frank Miller classic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Fall from Grace essentially is for him. Like, he made his life a living fucking hell when he found out that he was Daredevil, right? And you know, and because of all the people in his life that he cares about, he has to protect and all that type of shit. They seem like sort of Spider-Man conundrum, right? So no, I agree, man. It was a really great end to the issue. And this is just after like getting shit on by his son. Like, his son thinks he's pathetic. Like, he doesn't respect it in him and everything else that happened, right? So I thought it was good. That's why I did want to talk about that one, because I'm like, that kind of made the issue for me in that moment in particular. So I don't know, what'd you give this?
I'll give this a 4 out of 5 for that, for sure.
Same, absolutely. I don't know if I would have given it a 4 without it, but that moment was. Yeah, it should be interesting moving forward. I mean, they've already revealed they're relaunching it once again. Once Devil's Reign is over, which I'm not really surprised about, to be honest with you. But it should be interesting. So yeah.
All
right. So next up, we got a last minute read for me, a last minute pickup. Wasn't planning on picking this up. We may have not even mentioned it last week, and what we're picking up this week actually. But it's Suicide Squad Blaze #1. And thanks, shout out to Chris here. Actually picked up the issue for me because I actually read it online digitally prior to picking this up. And if you weren't able to notice there, this is one of the oversized Black Label issues. It's a little bit bigger in the dimensions. And if you're a fan of great artwork, this kind of lends itself to that in a really good way. Not the most convenient thing if you're somebody who bags their comics and puts them in short boxes, though, because this is like a magazine size issue. So it's kind of like, unless you're buying those magazine size boxes, it can be a bit of a nuisance. I personally, I've thrown mine on my bookshelf sometimes, but I do have a magazine size box now that I've been throwing a lot of these Black Label books into.
They have the magazine size top loaders too, eh?
They do. Yep. Yeah.
And you can also put them in there because if they got nice covers, it's nice having it bigger, and it's on the card stock, I think, usually.
Yeah. No, for sure. Anyways, as a last minute kind of pickup for me for this, I love this. I thought it was a fantastic issue. I love the art. I thought it was like gritty and dirty and messy where it should have been. Like, it really fit the story that was being told in this. And yeah, this was like pretty hardcore, man. Like, this is like a rated R, like Suicide Squad book. I mean, these DC Black Label books, like, that's kind of they actually have the chance to do that kind of thing because these are mature content titles, these DC Black Label, outside of the continuity and kind of like the some of the more popcorny moments of the, like of the DCU kind of main universe type stuff where, like, like a kid could be picking up the issue essentially. Like, these are, mature titles, the DC Black Label. They don't always use that to their advantage, I found, when some of these DC Black Label stuff, but like in this one, it's fucking violent, man. And it's pretty fucking dark. So I was into this, like, following up on the Peacemaker issue that, like, Chris mentioned to me as well. Like, it was a nice companion to that, I think, out of the Garth Ennis one-shot Peacemaker issue they've had, and definitely more in line with, like, I think the film, like, in terms of maybe not as funny as the film was at times, but them just going around fucking killing people. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good in that sense. So I don't know, what'd you think of this, Chris? I know you also read this after I got you to pick it up for me. I have some more thoughts on it, but go ahead if you want.
Yeah, I thought it was a great read. It's a long read, and
48
it just brings me back more to the Suicide Squad movie. It feels like reading a sequel to the Suicide Squad movie, and it didn't have so much to do with actual Harley Quinn and Peacemaker. They're in it, but they're focusing on 5 new characters.
Yeah,
and the story that they got going with them is they're injected with some sort of superpower that's going to kill them in 3 months. And they kind of make some reveals as the story goes on, and I don't know if I'll be buying it because it's the bigger size issue, but I'm looking forward to what happens in this story.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, the Suicide Squad is kind of like the backdrop to the storyline in this. They do introduce them, and the team in this is Captain Boomerang, who I love, longtime Suicide Squad member. Although in the newest film, he kind of died in like the first 2 minutes of the movie, which I was surprised about. But that's because I think he was like, unfortunately, maybe not available, or some of the bad remnants of people cast in the first fucking film. The only person to survive that was Harley Quinn, right? But she's so huge, they would never fucking just kill her off right at the start of the film. They can't do that. So maybe
Yeah.
he's got plans of being Captain Boomerang again in the DCU. But yeah, Captain Boomerang, Peacemaker, who we've been seeing a lot of lately in TV and comics, King Shark, and fucking Harley Quinn. And what's great about it is this is a Harley Quinn who is very much not like the Harley Quinn in the DCU. Like, she's bashing the fuck out of people's faces in this one. Like, this is like hardcore, violent, fucked up, like crazy Harley Quinn, like, which is again like something you don't get in the main Batman titles now, because she's like, she's running around being like a hero now in the Batman universe.
Yeah,
right?
I like the Harley Quinn here.
She's been an anti-hero for quite some time now, right? I mean, sometimes she'll go, she'll may not do the right thing, but she's not really seen as a super violent villain like she is in this book, right? So I really dug that. But yeah, the story was pretty well written. This is by Cy Spurrier, Aaron Campbell on art. It's well written throughout. Like you said, it focuses on the 5 prisoners for Project Blaze. They get injected with some sort of thing that gives them superpowers, like makes them metahumans, I guess, for 3 months time. But yeah, there's definitely some shit that happens by the end of the issue that definitely changes the outcome of even that aspect of it. So I won't reveal that. But there's a lot of interesting ideas in this book too. Like, there's a lot of interesting concepts and ideas, and it's kind of being told through like a first person narration, like a narration of the main guy out of these 5 just regular Joe type people that were locked up in prison, that they used for this Project Blaze. And the guy that they've been tasked to take down by Amanda Waller is literally just like this fucked up dude that's like coming up out of the sky and like ripping people apart and eating them. And he's just like,
yeah, I didn't understand kind of who the villain was or what he was, but
I think that's kind of like that.
I think that's on purpose.
Yeah, like even if you look at a still image of him, it's all like crazy and blurry.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. The artwork really worked for me in this. Like, it didn't make it like but the guy's got like a outlook on superheroes. Like, he doesn't love superheroes. The guy that's kind of been given these powers, he's in love with another girl that's part of the group that they were together before they both got locked up. Like, he's like infatuated with her. So they actually make you take the moment to actually make you care about these characters somewhat. And the Suicide Squad is really just there to kind of like,
they're like mentors almost.
Yeah, rein them in and bring them into the kind of the battlefield. But meanwhile, they're the ones that are tasked with taking out this thing, right? And so, like, I don't know, it seems like a shitty deal to me, because it's funny, because even when Amanda Waller threw this out to the Suicide Squad members at the start, they're like, fuck that, we're not doing that. Like, because they're already like superpowered some of these guys. Or they're just skilled. They're like, I don't want to die in 3 months. Fuck this. Like, she's like, all right, well, plan B then. And then they just brought in like a bunch of like Joe Schmoes, and like they basically like leveled the playing field by making them try to survive the Suicide Squad, like killing them in like our fucking like battle arena. Like, if you get past this point, like, we'll let you on the team, kind of, because we only got 5 injections, as Chris mentioned. So yeah, it was just really unexpected and well done and well written, and I loved it. I thought it was a great debut issue. This is going to be a 3-issue mini series. I think it's coming out bi-monthly, so every 2 months they're going to be dropping one of these issues, like a lot of these oversized Black Label ones. So yeah, I'm on board. This is a last minute edition, but I'm glad I read it. Yeah, I
like how the powers they got were random, and the guy that they're following, he got the freaking lousiest powers though. Like, his arms disappeared.
Yeah, no arms.
I'm sure that'll come into play somehow, but
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's funny. I really
what kind of power is this? I got no arms.
It's kind of funny that it's him that gets that power though, because he really hates on superheroes and stuff like that, right? Because he kind of yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, they even kind of hinted at the fact that like the main supers can't really do fuck all against this thing so far. Like, Superman and the Justice League are like at press conferences in this, and
getting shut down and kind of getting the business from the media there.
Really, really good, guys. So if you want something outside of the norm, I think big 2 superhero type book, or if you're a fan of like maybe a darker, mature title or something that's in more of the line of some of the ultra violent type stuff that happens, in the Suicide Squad film, definitely check this out. I was very pleased with it. Like, I normally don't pick up the Suicide Squad books because I don't find them very good. I've tried a bunch of them in the past, and other than like the classic series that came out in like the 80s, I haven't really gravitated towards like a Suicide Squad book in a while. So yeah, I liked it. Chris, what'd you give it?
Yep, I'll give this a 4 as well. Another 4.
Big 5 for me, guys. Big
Whoa!
5. Yeah,
Wow.
I love this. I really just went in with no expectations. I think it just kind of blew me away. Like, I was very impressed by this. So, all right, Chris.
Nice.
Maestro World War M #1.
Maestro World War M. Let's see. This is taking place, I think, in the Old Man world, right? The Apocalypse world. I'm not sure if they have a name for the Old Man world.
I don't think it's the old man world, but it is in the future of a post-apocalyptic thing. Like, because I think this is more in like the Peter David future. Like the guy who was the Hulk in the past, like where Maestro is. Yeah, you're right. It is pretty much
But it's similar in the Old Man world,
yes.
then, because all the villains are ahead. I think I think this might take place after I think what's his name? Hulk here just had a battle with Doom and sent him back to Latvia or Latveria, whatever, and he just beat up M, or he beat up AIM. He dropped a bomb on them.
Yeah.
And supposedly the Abomination has been sitting in stasis somewhere, and he kind of gets resurrected there. Let's see what I write about. Yeah, Doom's just been beat, and then the Abomination's been sort of resurrected. Namor finds him, and somehow there's a Human Torch kicking around in there. And there's like a nice little battle between Maestro and Human Torch, where Human Torch goes Nova, and freaking Maestro or Hulk, whatever he wants to call himself there, he just takes it, and after that it goes, it's my turn, and then it's game on. So it was a good issue. This was a last minute pickup for me. I didn't have this on my pull list. It was just kind of sitting there, and it was a weak pull list, so I picked it up. And I was happy to read it, and I'll probably read the rest of them, or at least try to pull them out and see where it goes. I give this a 3.5.
As I just showed off, like the 2 trade paperbacks, I've been picking that up in trade. I love the Maestro series that they've been putting out. They're a hell of a lot of fun. They're just like, they're by the same, guy who wrote Hulk back in the 90s, Peter David. He created that character. They're just super fun books. And yeah, it's going to be like a 5-6 issue mini. He's kind of been putting out these mini series like once a year or once every, I don't know how many months, like he does, maybe,
I think this is probably the third part of that trilogy you have there.
Yep. Yeah. So I picked up the first 2 trades, and I'm going to pick this up in trade when it gets collected too. So I'm a huge fan of the Maestro book. So yeah, they're fun, man. Very cool. Scorch.
Okay. So we got Scorch 2. Let's see. It's the Scorch crew. They're fighting in Russia versus the Black Flag, and I guess they're about some Russian soldiers, and I think they have a spawn imprisoned or something, and they start taking injections from the spawn to turn themselves into sort of spawn-like soldiers, and they just fucking battle it out. Looks like dark times for the Scorched crew. That's the She-Spawn, Redeemer, the whole crew there, except the regular Spawn. He was kind of hanging back. And once they start getting their teeth kicked in a little bit, Spawn shows up to save the day. And they're saving these, I don't know if they're Russian prostitutes or these orphan girls. That's what they were. And these orphan girls got a secret, and I think the secret's going to be revealed in the next issue. So it wasn't too bad. I'm kind of figuring what's going on, at least in Scorched, as it relates to what's going on in the comic. But still, there's not so much with the angels and the devils here. So it's a little bit easier to figure out what's happening. But it's a great looking comic, and I'm still liking all the characters. I'll give this a 3.5 as well.
Gunslingers in that too, the Gunslinger Spawn?
Yeah, Gunslingers in here. It's basically all the spawns that come together.
Okay.
Still don't know why they come together, but anyway.
Is there still a medieval Spawn? Like a one that's like...
Yeah, he's almost like he kind of lives in somebody else, and then when the guy calls him, he turns into the medieval Spawn.
Etrigan or something like that. Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And this one's here from last week. I guess I just didn't pick it up last week, and it was still out there this week, so I picked it up. This is Spawn 326.
Cool cover.
Yeah, it's a cool cover. It has nothing to do with the story, though. It's got She-Spawn out there.
Of course not.
That she spawned on a motorcycle, fucking blasting some people, or some devils or angels. I don't know, but pretty much one of the reasons I buy is just because they got awesome covers. And this one here, I'm still trying to figure out who's who and what's what. I'm not sure if all these stories are running the same time as Scorched is going on, because it doesn't really have much going on with Scorched.
Yeah.
I think this one here they're talking about Nostro or something. I don't know if he's one of the mafia devil or mafia angel lords. And let's see, there's the spawns here, haunts in here. A few of the spawns have been caught and they're fighting each other. So I don't know what's going on in there, but it's still a fun read. And once again, these are great comics drawn. You know, the art's great in there, and the story's enough to move along. But it's a new world to me, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out all the teams still.
Is Spawn Universe still a thing? Wasn't that a book, or was that just like a one shot?
I don't know if that was just a one shot, kind of almost introducing all the other spawns and trying to get a whole spawn team together. But
right.
It's just like I don't think that this story is running the same time as the Scorch, so I think that's what's kind of getting me confused.
Okay, but is Scorch?
They were at a point, kind of saying, trying to get everything together in Spawn titles, like either Gunslinger or this. And then I don't know. It's all
right. Is Scorch now? Well, that's the thing. I think I thought that was why they kind of made a push towards like putting all that stuff out at the same time.
Yeah, kind of like having an event running through all the comics simultaneously, but it doesn't look like that's the case.
Which is what I thought the culmination. Like I thought that's what Scorch is. Scorch is serving as a Spawn event, is it not? Or is it that is like the Spawn Universe book essentially now?
Basically, yeah, it's like Spawn Avengers, really.
Okay.
Running its own, like on its own timeline or its own sort of stories.
Oh, so it's not even like
separate from the
right.
But because I think Gunslinger, the blue guy just showed up again.
Okay. Yeah, Violator?
Yeah, Violator. So he's in there, but he has nothing to do with Scorch. So I think they're all running their own stories.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, but it's good read up. I'm gonna follow it along. It's good.
Hey, Spawn, what rating?
I'll give that a 3.5 as well.
0.5 as well. Okay, cool. All right. Next up, King of Spies number 3. I think there's one more issue left of this. This is only going to be a 4-issue miniseries. Mark Miller and Matteo Scalera, huge fan of his art. I mean, as always, the art's great. As always, he always works with great artists. I love his art. It's good, fast-paced action and adventure. And the only negative I would say about this particular issue, or just this series as a whole, is like the issues because of the fast-paced nature of the adventure and the story being told in this. It reads too fast, which isn't necessarily like a bad thing, but like it always leaves me wanting more in that sense, where I'm just like, oh fuck, like I could have used a double dose of this week. Like if it was like an oversized issue, like sometimes you see these oversized issues that these big events, and they got like nothing really to say. Like it's just a bunch of bullshit that's like leading up to like a conclusion that's going to play out over the next 4 or 5 issues. Right. So like, but this is just like, yeah, I could read this whole mini series probably in one sitting. That's how much of an enjoyable kind of fast paced read it is. But in this particular issue, the moments I really enjoyed as this guy is this dying James Bond like character is basically taking out all these bad people that he had to be associated with over the years. Before he dies, is he took out like the Pope essentially in this one, but he basically kidnapped like the guy who's the Pope currently, and he brought him into the middle of nowhere in the woods. And he's shit talking to them about all like the bad stuff that he's done, and how before when he was before he was a pope, all the kind of the stuff that went on with him in the Catholic Church. And as you can imagine, maybe some of the things that go on there, not to get into that whole thing with the religion, and maybe some of the priests, what they're guilty of. He brings them to the woods there. And then he beams a light on him. He's like, he starts yelling for help, and he's like, no one's gonna hear you out here. We're in the miles away from anything, and we're in the middle of nowhere. Oh, except for these people. And then he like shines a light, and there's a huge angry mob group of people that are sitting there with all these fucking blades and like weapons and everything. And you're like, oh, you're like, yeah, these are all the victims of the church over the years that that you guys got away with. Like guys that maybe like diddled these people or whatever else. All these years, yeah, they're gonna take care of you. And then like the next day, like they're like, there's like I guess cops or something, or these spies like investigating the scene, and they're They see like this half like torso body hanging from the fucking trees, like he's just shredded, and it's like the Pope character, and I was like, holy fuck, like it's just, like just brutal stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the one to kill you. These guys are, because they want their revenge, right? And he just like leaves them like to like a pack of angry wolves. He like throws them in the middle of this fucking group of people and just like fucks off. And then the other one, like, but again, he's righting wrongs, like getting rid of like disgusting, fucked up individuals, right? Like, and then like they make a reference to him taking out essentially like a producer who may have done wrong, like a Weinstein character, essentially. Like he doesn't say like Weinstein,
yeah,
get the idea. And then he goes to and the way he takes that guy out is that they go to this they're in a restaurant and they're pissing beside each other in some urinals, and like there's some sort of microscopic bomb thing that comes out of his his urine stream that goes up into his urine stream, like it like it like splashbacks and goes up into his like his pee hole there, and fucking he leaves the restaurant, and then he has like a button and he fucking triggers a bomb and he explodes. So like it's just really cool ideas like that. And I really like the idea of taking out these people that they've gotten away with fucked up shit through their lives. And it is definitely touching on some real life stuff as well in this. And the art's great. And in terms of like the story, it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conclusion of the last issue next time. Like I could see them doing another miniseries in this same world with this guy, but again, his time is limited right now in this series. Like they say, he's gonna die in 6 months. That was in the first issue, and he's really been putting in that work these last couple issues. So I gave it a 4, though. I thought it was a solid issue, and I really enjoyed the series. So Batman Catwoman number 10. This is an interesting one. Yeah. So yeah, here's your talking about some cheesecakey covers. Hey now. No, that's a nice cover though. I really like.
I was on my radar.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really like this. This book's weird because the last couple of issues I haven't been really digging as much, to be quite honest with you. This is written by Tom King. Clayman, the original artist that was on this book, came back with this issue. I think the last 2-3 issues he was been away. And the other artist that they brought in, like his art made it like more of like a fever dream, like it's very trippy and weird looking and strange, and maybe because of the type of story or the moments in the story that he was trying to tell in those issues, or the fact that Clayman is notoriously slow, the artist on this. He's really well known for his great cheesecake art and stuff like that. So like I don't know, like he just takes a lot longer, I think, that artist to put in like his issues. So I guess to keep it a monthly title, like 2-3 issues, they had a different artist on this book, but it really affected it for me, like the story that was being told. Like I didn't mind the last artist, but like seeing him back on the book for this issue, I was like, it was one of the better issues I've read in the last couple issues. So I'm sure that added to the enjoyment of it. But I liked this one because like it's not always about like the quality of the story being told, but how it's being told. And in this one, it kind of worked out really well with the storytelling, because they've been telling a story about Catwoman basically killing the Joker in the future. Like, and this is again when they get old, like I mentioned to you with that last issue, they're old now, and Bruce and her have been married. And at the start of this 12 issue series, this is issue 10, they show a scene where she basically like tracks down the Joker and kills him for good. And then at this point in the story, we have his daughter, Batman's daughter, that's basically now the new Batman, and Batman's dead. He's passed on. Basically coming down on her, like catching her mother now and saying, like, you killed somebody, it was wrong. Like, you basically got to do your time. You're going to pay for this, like go to jail or whatever, right? And they're basically having like a moment between mother and daughter here at the end. And she's like, you don't really understand, like, why, like, and so the whole thing didn't click until the end of the issue, like the way that the pacing and the story was being told. And at first it makes it sometimes a bit of a difficult read where you're not really appreciating what's going on. But by the end of it, and all kind of came full circle, I was like, oh, I'm like, that's really good, actually. And then the more I finished the issue, the more I started thinking about the story that was being told. And I was like, you know what, that's actually really good. So basically you find out that she killed the Joker at the start of that issue, at the start of the series, because she found out he's a liar. Like, he's not actually insane. Like, he actually just played a part as Batman played a part, and these two just became like rivals of one another, and they could never be without one another. Like, you know, that whole thing about Batman people say about Batman, like he's in love, like Joker's like they're in love with each other and that kind of thing. They're definitely like playing in that kind of area with the idea of that. There's even a moment, but so in this issue, they're showing the story in 3 different times. They're showing the present day where she's now, with her daughter and she's coming down on her for her killing the Joker. And then they show 2 different areas. One when Catwoman was still a villain hanging out with the Joker, and then one like in between where she was with Bruce and they had tracked down the Joker and she almost killed him in that moment. And Bruce like comes out of like the rubble after being fucked up by him or whatever and saying like, no, like leave him. Like she has a moment where she almost killed him back then. She's like, no, like leave him be. And she basically confronts them like in the future saying like, you were never crazy. Like, that's what I found out. You were just fucking like, you're sane. Like, he's like, no, I'm insane. And he just says like a bunch of wacky shit. She's like, no, like you're not. Like, she's like, and so like, it seems like he's always just been like this thorn in his side for some fucked up reason. And even Batman stops her from killing him because it seems like he needs him. So it's this really fucking weird relationship that they've just further explored in this through Catwoman's eyes. And, it got to the point where she just like, when she got old and stuff and Bruce died, she fucking killed him because she's like, that's like, you know what I mean? Like, I had enough of this. Yeah, I know you should be dead. You're a piece of shit. Like, it was just an act. She basically called him out and she, respected Bruce. So she kind of like, he's like the yin to his yang essentially. So he had to balance him out, and where she would have killed him at first, there was like, there's even a scene where they're like talking to one another and Joker's using like some sort of thing where he's like, yeah, you think you can just call the shots now because you're fucking him and all this stuff. Like, I bet you I would fuck him better and shit like that. I was just like, what the hell? Like I was like, this is crazy. So yeah, I dug it, man. I gave it a 4.5 because I thought the art was really good. It was a really good chapter in this series. The more I talk about it, even talking with you right now about it, the more I was just going to give it a 4, but I got to give it a 4.5. Like,
you're dropping a 5 on there.
No, yeah, and almost, but it just, I really appreciated the thought and kind of time that's been going into this story now. Like, it's kind of, this has been one of the Tom King, like, mini series that he does, because he usually does these, like, 12 issue series that I've been probably enjoying the least, but this was a solid issue. I was just like, okay, if this is what you've been building towards, I was like, that's pretty good. So I was really impressed by it. Yeah. So anyways, 4.5. Nice. And then lastly, Justice League 2022 annual. I know on the solicits last week I mentioned they said 2021. I don't know if that was a mistake or they just like corrected the mistake and they actually put 2022 on here. So yeah, this is the 2022 annual for Justice League. This was good. They had a different artist on this issue. I think the story that was being told in it was good for a annual, let's say, because it was like a story that was in between storylines right now. Obviously they just concluded another storyline, which I didn't really care too much about towards the end of it. And they're ramping up to the end of the book now with this whole event that's going to be coming up with the death of the Justice League. And yeah, it was a fun story. Great guest artist on this book, Sanford Green. I really enjoyed his art on this. I didn't love the way that the story was fragmented up in parts in this one, though. They basically set up like different parts of the Justice League all kind of spreading out and trying to search for this person. And they encountered, what was his name? The Lord of Time. They encountered this guy called the Lord of Time. And Chris, you'll have to let me know because I believe this is actually tying into Bendis's Justice League Legion of Superheroes book that you just read. And by the end of it, you found out that the Lord of Time, different versions of himself, like 3 different versions of himself throughout different points in time, met up with different groups of the Justice League that were spread out trying to take out this guy at the same time. So the way the story was being told, I didn't love as much in this one, just because it would be like part 1 and then you'd see like one group of Justice League go out and encounter this guy, and then be like part 2 and it'd be like another group of the Justice League. It just felt very repetitive by the end of it for like really no payoff. And they kind of did away with him by the end of this annual. And it was like he alluded to the thing that he was trying to stop was the Gold Lantern. I guess that's part of the Legion.
Yeah, that's part of the whatever, the Legion versus Justice.
So whatever that Gold Lantern is, because they didn't really give you a lot of context to it in this issue. They just alluded to it. Like, it's not going to be good, I guess, apparently, for like whatever. Like, so, you know, but he's also from the future. So maybe that makes sense with the Legion of Superheroes and everything else. So anyways, it was a fun little story, and with a great guest artist. For that reason, I'll give it a 3.5 because I really enjoyed the artist that they stuck on this book. It's somebody you don't normally see. So to bring on an artist like that for an annual and just to tell like a little one-off story like this, it was all right. So I'll give it 3.5.
Nice.
All right. Moon Knight.
All right, Moon Knight number 8. Basically, the only reason I bought it is because it's one of the X-Gwen variant covers.
Mhm.
I don't know if I was bored one night and all the pre-orders were out there and I kind of hit them all. Or I tried to at least. I try a few of them. And then I go, wow, what the hell? Might as well try and get all of them. But anyways, my first Moon Knight comic. And I think this is taking place during the Dark Reign. Moon Knight is in jail and there's a Hunter Moon is taking his place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're trying to fight some stained glass Scarlet, I think. I don't know if that's a new character. And it's somebody that died a couple of years ago. And he's in some church trying to investigate her story. And it turns out that she's sort of like a god or something now. And she's kind of just telling him, and they're having their back and forth. And she's trying to explain that now that she's a god, she can do whatever she wants. And then Moon Knight as a fist of Khonshu, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Khonshu.
Yeah.
As a fist of Khonshu and his disciple, he calls on Khonshu to come up, and Khonshu's an old god, and they kind of just go back and forth with this new stained glass Scarlet. Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice seeing all that sort of stuff, but it's all out of the hokey god talk. Oh, I'm an old god, you're a new god, you can't do this, you can't do that, we can't be hurt, we can't die. And then, he just kind of, like, they're fighting in some sort of church, and that's why that's the only in-between space or something they call it.
Yeah.
It was more of like a little throwaway story there. It was okay, nothing crazy. Mm. And then the epilogue is, I think, goes back to Devil's Reign, and I think the real Moon Knight just probably broke out of jail or something like that. Okay. So that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, what she did in Devil's Reign, they showed that moment, actually. They all broke out.
Yeah, so this is like the epilogue, maybe the beginning of the Moon Knight Devil's Reign or something like that. Yeah. But basically, I bought it as a cover buy. I don't regret buying it. I like the cover. The story was decent. I'd give the story a 3. But not a big Moon Knight fan. But I didn't hear all this great stuff about Moon Knight, but I don't think it's an actual Moon Knight comic. It's the Hunter Moon.
The show's the show's coming out soon. And then also, I have heard good things about this current ongoing series. I believe the first volume is coming out next week, and I've actually ordered that. So yeah. I am a fan of Moon Knight, and I have heard good things about the current ongoing. So yeah, so if that, matters any, but I think he's just being popular. He's getting popular right now because the show is coming out, right? So
I heard in the show his cape's going to have wings or something. It's going to turn into wings.
There is a version like that, so I guess we'll see.
I don't know. At least the renders I saw for that weren't very encouraging. But otherwise, his suit looks. If that's the suit that I see in the renderings, there, it looks pretty cool. Like he almost looked like a mummy.
Yeah, some people
not dressed like a mummy, but it looked like the cloth or something like that. But anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So next up, we got Avengers 53. Once again, there it is. This is the X-Gwen, X-Gwen Kitty Pryde there with Lockheed.
I like that one.
Pick that one up. Yeah, they're all nice. And then
I like that one.
I know I had the regular cover pulled, and I've heard some big things might be going on in this issue, so I thought I'd keep the regular issue. Yep. So what do we got going on in Avengers 53? We got Doom above all, Kid Thanos, Namor, Valkyrie. She has a talking horse, Valkyrie. Yeah. You know about that? Okay, well, she does. And the Black Panther and the Deathlock. And I think the Doom above all is attacking the Celestial Mountain, the Avengers headquarters. And he freaking takes it to town. This Doom above all is he's like Doctor Strange, or he's a sorcerer supreme of the dark, arcane, mystic arts or whatever. So he's got some power there. And is it Kid Thanos? It's like a young Thanos, like a really young Thanos.
Is it like a Thanos from
Oh yeah, hold on, I got it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Kid Thanos.
On the front page here is pretty good too. Anyways,
are these different people from other universes again, though, or?
Yeah, these are like the multiverse of evil.
Like from, you see them there? From Avengers Forever, like those guys are seeping into the.
Yeah, like here they have him here. He's like, I don't know, butchering up some lady in a
This
freaking.
sounds like a lot of fun though right now. What's going on? It's like I almost like feel like I jumped off the book at 50 issues in at the wrong time. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like everything that's going on in this book now. Like I waited.
Well, I think that She-Hulk one or the World War She-Hulk that story might have been a bit of a dud. If that's when you were in it, or did you jump off before that?
I think it was. I dropped it during that. Yes, it was issue
Yeah.
48. No, I mean that's the thing. It felt like every other arc was a dud, but this sounds really fun at the moment between this and Avengers Forever. Like, just seems like they're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Like at this point,
Yeah.
it's like
You know, yeah. Namor here, he's talking like a freaking. I like Namor too now. He wasn't one of my favorite characters before, but inside here, this is just like the things he talks about, like comparing. I'll see if I can to dig it up there, but
yeah, he's
like his just his ocean references or something. Because here he's talking with that kid Thanos, and they both freaking talk like morons to each other.
It's because he's a king, right? He looks down on people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's just like whatever. He just feels.
Anyway, I know he's talking about freaking like seagulls or I don't know, some sort of fish or something like that. I don't know. I can't find it, but
Can't find the dialogue. Oh, it's too bad.
and there's a big thing in this one too with Black Panther. He gets a little bit of a power up in here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're trying to wake up the Celestial Mountain because like they're getting their ass handed to them here by that Doom. That
Right.
Doom is kicking their ass. And
is Maya still? Is Maya Lopez still running around with the Phoenix Force in her? What's her name?
It's not part of this one here, at least.
Okay.
Not part of this story. I haven't seen the I think she has her own story, that Echo song, but I haven't been reading any of that.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Echo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All and right. Yeah, and there's the Deathlock is in here, and he's trying to wake up this the celestial god or something. So it's still a good thing, you know. And like this issue didn't have much to do with the previous issue because the previous issue had that little super baby that freaking got aged up near the end, and that's like she's a superpower or something, you know, like a Phoenix Force type of power. Mm-hmm. So there's some big things going on. I'd give this a solid 4 out of 5. Boom.
Nice.
And yeah, me next again here.
Yeah.
Got Titans Unite 6. And this is just one of the variant covers. You got Superboy. Mm-hmm. I know, crash landing on Earth with the superhero pose. And the regular cover for this one's pretty good too. It's got Starfire and Blackfire scrapping it out on the cover. So
okay. Yep.
That's a pretty decent one. I almost picked up that one too, but I go, fuck that. I'm getting screwed in these comics already. But it's not a bad issue. Like this one, I remember when the series first started, because it's just a little limited issue run. I think it might only be 7 issues.
Okay.
And this is 6. So we got Titans versus Blackfire in here. And Blackfire and Superboy or Connor. He's Connor, right? The clone?
Yeah, Connor Kent. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now Connor is sort of under Blackfire's influence or something for whatever reason.
Okay.
And most of the Teen Titans most of the Titans are already prisoners of Blackfire. And it's only Starfire and some other character. I don't know what her name is, but she's like a villain or an enemy. I can call her Val or something. Because first, that's the episode, or the issue starts with them fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see her here getting kicked in the head or.
Yeah, no, I'm not too familiar with her. No.
Anyway, but you know, then whatever. Blackfire's alien invasion kind of comes into the atmosphere, so they stop fighting and then they go to Blackfire, and then Connor's kind of just beating everybody up in there. And then they realize that Connor is still Superboy, or he's still a Superman, or a Kryptonian, or a Kryptonian, and he's not really going to hurt them. Mm-hmm. And then he realizes that he's a good guy, so they all turn on to Blackfire. They start handing their ass to her, and then the true villains come in at the end, some Annihilation Fleet or something, and that's the end of the story there. So that wasn't too bad. It's a fun read. It's a good back, just good action comic. Everybody's beaten up. It's drawn very well. You got some good characters in there. Mm-hmm. And I give this 4 out of 5.
Nice. So one more issue to go, you said on
one
that?
More issue for me still, or no? Oh, yeah, I think one more issue on that. On one series. Or two, but it seems like it's the last one. Because once the big bad comes in,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" It's
Right.
not gonna work.
Cool. Nice. All right. Yeah. So 10 Deaths of Wolverine #2. For once, me and Chris read it at the same time. I read this online digitally. Oh, that's a cool cover though. Yeah. So I read this.
That's not bad.
So I actually haven't read the second issue of what was the one last week? The Lives one.
Lives, yeah.
I read that yet. I read the first one, but I've read both issues of this series so far. This is basically fucking Terminator, man. Let's be honest. This is fucking Terminator. Just like this guy was doing fucking what it was in that Point Break. Now he's doing Terminator. Like, listen, I actually liked this issue. I thought it was a good. I liked this issue. I think it's probably the best issue out of all of them so far, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
But like, to me, this is basically Terminator. Like fucking the Wolverine that's, I guess, from the future. At some point, we don't really know too much about this Wolverine yet, but there's a Wolverine running around in this that's trying to track down Moira, as well as Destiny and Mystique. Yeah, or well, Mystique's the one, and Destiny's kind of back. It seems like at home base or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they're both trying to track down Moira in this, and she's on the run. But then it feels like there's like a whole moment, like the Wolverine, like seems like the Terminator coming from out of nowhere, like to track her down from like a future that.
Just slowly, just like
Yeah,
that boat putting around, but he gets there.
Yeah, no, it's just, and again, this was just like a fast paced, fun issue. I felt like I really dug it. Like, I liked how she's like, you could feel like she's on the run. Like, she has to, like, she was getting like stuff from like the gas station, and she had to like, she went to the motel, the shitty motel, and put iodine all in the bathtub, and went in the bathtub and cut her fucking her arm off because she's got part of what's his name in her. I guess that's what they're using to track her somehow. I guess.
That's like Warlock in her.
Yeah, Cypher. Yeah, Warlock. And that's the thing. But the Wolverine from the future, or wherever the hell he's from, is like a Warlock. And I don't know if they've made, you would have to tell me because I didn't read the second issue, if they've made a connection between these two books. Like, I don't really think it is.
No, they're not connected at all.
One's Moira, one's the ongoing thing of where Moira has gone post Inferno. So if you guys did not, definitely check this out. I don't know. I like this issue though. What'd you think? I thought it was solid.
Yeah, basically you hit all the points I wanted to go on. I said it's following Moira. I thought that was a nice panel where Moira cuts her arm off, and Wolverine seems to be Warlock, and I'm still confused.
I just, me personally, I just
does Destiny really get blown up in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he dead or no?
I don't know.
Because that's the thing now with the resurrection pods. They seem to be able to kill all these people more easily now, and it's not such a big deal. Oh, I blew you up. That's okay.
Right.
It's going to take you back to the freaking regeneration pod and grow you again.
I don't
know.
What a moment though. Like, I was like, there's just so many things I think that like reminded me of like Terminator in this, like Wolverine, like fighting the cops, like taking out the cops there. It seems that like this shit's like a virus almost, and it's like, like the other Terminators, or like the robot, like the T whatever, he's like turning other people into like, you know what I mean, like like robots.
But you're almost surprised that he didn't have a scene where he had sunglasses on. He said, "I'll be back" or something.
It felt very much like that to me. Like this thing that we don't even really know all about is come from some sort of place in time, and is chasing this Moira, and she's on the run. And like, again, same thing. Like, she's got like the sniper rifle here at the end out. You know what I mean? Like, so like it just seems like a very Terminator, which is a good thing. Like, I love Terminator. So like, for me, like, if I made me feel that way while reading it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm into this. I think this is even though I haven't read the second issue, I think I've dug this idea of the ongoing, like, where Moira has gone after Inferno, like, storyline more than the Wolverine thing, because I really don't know what's. And you didn't really make me convince me with your review of the last issue.
Oh fuck yeah, no!
You're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on in this. I'm like, at least like in this one we know, because we read Inferno and we're kind of now just following her, right? And the Wolverine thing seems pretty crazy. This Warlock Wolverine, yeah,
but I don't know why it's called 10 freaking Deaths of Wolverine, or it should have been called like Inferno Aftermath.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's I
don't even think it's Wolverine chasing her. I think it's freaking Warlock or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what I think. I'm not sure if it's true or not.
Yeah, I gave it a 4. I liked this. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I'll give it a cool 4. I thought it was a good read. It's surprising.
Yeah, same. All right, and then our last book of the night here.
Wow.
I don't know about you, Chris. I don't really want to end on a downer with this beyond.
Again, no. I wrote just one line here for this one. Enter the Slingers, exit my $5. That's it.
I like that. It's funny that you say that because, yeah, as you know, guys, we've been trying to write some notes to remind us about certain points we want to hit on here. So you guys see us looking now. That's kind of what we're doing now. But it's funny because I literally wrote, this is the shortest one. I wrote something about this too. I was like, all I said is super boring story. I didn't give a shit about with characters I could care less about and barely has anything to do with the main story. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck was the point of this issue? Like, I get it. The Slingers were, I think, is something in the past from Spider-Man and stuff. And they even reference, I guess, some sort of relation with these people and maybe the Beyond thing and the stuff going on at the end of the issue. And also there's like an editor's note, like, oh, see fucking whatever issue is.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do not care. I'm like, what a fucking slow roll of the momentum on this main storyline to give me the most boring issue of this fucking, even the Beyond tie-ins I think we've read yet. I really did not care. I can't even tell you if this was bad just because I felt I didn't care. I'm reading this. I'm like, why am I reading it? I'm like, I really felt that way during this. And then I don't know, like if there's any Slinger fans out there or something that have been dying for this issue, but if you are, there you go. Like, I really don't know what to say other than that. Yeah, it was just boring as fuck. It made me fall asleep almost. I was reading this in the evening.
We bitch about the backstories in DC or the second story in the DC comics, but freaking Marvel's taking it a step further, putting like freaking back issues in these point beyonds.
And not to mention that
you got to pay full price for this.
This is an oversized issue with a few more pages. This is a $4.99 retail issue. This is not even like a $3.99 regular issue that you get in the series. This is a $4.99 tie-in that was and here's the thing, you don't know which ones. It's hard to tell. Like, if you're following an ongoing series, that's how they get you. Sometimes you like the Mary Jane Black Cat one, that was a tie-in, great. But then you have most of them like this, and you're like, why am I buying this? But how do I know? Like, how do I know which ones are going to be good? Like,
like that Black Cat Mary Jane should have been this issue and shouldn't have been a number one, and they could have put this, saved it for freaking their next rainy day. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you guys, like, I think I gave this like a 2.5 because I was gonna give it a 3, but I'm like, no, 3 is usually like, it wasn't the best, but like I'm still invested. Like this, just like it was so boring. Like, I don't even want to say it was bad. Like, I know we're veering into bad territory with that rating, like, but it wasn't good. But it just it didn't have my.
Well, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't. It wasn't Spider-Man, like no. It wasn't the Blue Beetle comic or whatever these guys are.
Maybe it's just me or us. I just I saw. Yeah, I'm gonna stick.
More of the fucking Spider-Man story, okay? Buy Spider-Man. I want to see what's going on with Spider-Man. I don't want to see what's happening with freaking. I don't know. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah,
is that the Prowler's father or something, or the.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm sticking with my rating. I think I'm just gonna give it a 2 point. Just give it a 2.75. Okay, guys. I won't give it a 3, but I won't give it a 2.5 here. 2.
Yeah, it's not a 3. A 3 is like just a a good story that's just moving along. Not much is happening.
Right.
Yeah, 2.5, 2, whatever.
There you have it, guys. So I've just been keeping up with us ending on the Spider-Man issues here. I knew when I put it on my list, I was like, oh, I hope Chris liked this one. I was just like, oh, man. I was like, we try not to
talk much to like in that one. What they freaking, I don't even know who these people are and what powers they have. Like, all of a sudden you got another super smart guy that's broke or something. Come on.
Yeah. All right, so we quickly wanted to touch on some things in the news recently. Nothing too, not a huge discussion on them, but a couple of things coming up that we figured, we might, want to mention that, I guess, big event stuff that has been announced recently. We might check out. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how that goes with events. I kind of, I'm on the fence usually.
Well, the summertime events, I guess those are a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah. So one of them was the new DC one that's going to be coming out, the Dark Crisis, I guess, which is spinning out of the Death of the Justice League, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's coming out of that, and I think they're even kind of with the Justice League Incarnate. They're really kind of getting that the darkness, or with the Dark Army or the Dark Crisis, kind of really maybe getting the backstory to what's going to happen in there. That's what it seems, at least.
Right.
And I don't know.
A lot of stuff, it seems like, that DC has been building up the last few years, because they like to do this, it seems like, once every year or two, is to hit that reset button in a way. But at this point in time, they're kind of been trying to keep the idea of incorporating everything moving forward kind of thing that they've been doing, where they're like, everything counts now. Instead of like the reset button, they feel that the solution to these big events that they do is not just resetting everything, but including it all. So it's even bigger of a clusterfuck every time, which is like,
But I still don't see how they're going to freaking kill all these people and make it stick. And if they don't make it stick, how are they going to bring them back? You know, like, everybody's going to be happy they come back, but like, how many times are they going to do this?
This is going to be a monthly 7-issue Dark Crisis series launching in June. So it's monthly 7 issues. So that's going to see us through to the end of the year, it looks like. Actually a bit into the new year then, actually. Yeah. So that's going to be the new monthly ongoing, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
Like,
read
that means like 7 months of freaking no Batman and
right.
And, you know, like, maybe Action Comics. I don't know.
I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Superman is still going to, like, Superman is still his kid. He's still alive. So they've kind of already gotten him. What's going to happen to Wonder Woman?
That's the thing, though. I mean, like, yeah, it says here is as the Joshua Williamson is writing it, which I don't mind as a writer, but I don't love everything he's done. It's it's following in the same vein as of course the Crisis events that have come through DC, which there's been a few at this point. But yeah, he says that the Dark Crisis, of course, he has to mention it's the epic DCU event that spins out of Justice League and connects all the story threads since 2021's Infinite Frontier #0, which I read. Yeah, I don't know. These things are, it just seems like they always have to have one of these events going on at all times. DC, it seems like, whether or not this is going to matter or count, like, I doubt it at this point, because like none of this really does at this point. Because, so I don't know, if you're into this kind of thing, I'm sure we'll be reading about it or possibly talking about it or something on this show, because, you know, now that we do the show, it gives me somewhat of a reason to maybe check out this stuff. Maybe I'll check it out online as opposed to picking up the issues, but like, I'm just not big on that right now, these events through DC, just because, like, too, I've been checking in periodically to a lot of these events that have led up to this point in time, and it's felt like the last like 5 years has just been one big long event of doing it. And like, they've been kind of, now it seems like DC, I will say, they've been more leaning into the fact of, now it seems like because they're including it all, they're not worried as much about continuity in some stories. The fact that they're doing the DC Black Label stuff and like these like the, like the Dark Knights of Steel, like reimaginings of the stuff, like, I like all that stuff. The more stuff they do of that, I think the better, because it gives you options outside of all of this shit that they're doing in the main DC universe. You know what I mean? Like, as you can tell, like, a lot of the shit that we talk about, me and Chris here, is some of that stuff, but then we also kind of dip our toe into some of the main universe stuff too. But when it comes like to stuff like this, and it takes over all the books and all the status quo, if you're not really into what's going on, it really puts a fucking damper on things. And if this is like a 7-month event and we hate on it, like, I'm not looking forward to that, right? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard to go all in on these things, really. As much as I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Sometimes I am, where I'm like, yeah, I'm on board. But like, I'd rather sit there and read the 6-issue fucking Justice League.
Yeah, you're in burned fucking so many times in all these events. So
yeah, so I've been burned too many times at this point in my comic book reading experiences. Yeah, so we'll see. But, you know, maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe this will be the one, right? I mean, that's that's why we're suckers, comic book fans. We're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe this will.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe there'll be a key in there or something, you know, that's gonna spark the. Probably not.
And then there was the one other one you had mentioned too, Chris. I guess the big Marvel event was the crossover between Eternals, Avengers, X-Men. I think that's going to be happening this summer, right?
Yeah, something like that going on, and I think they got the 2099. They're going to revisit the 2099 universe.
Yes,
it's 30 years. Is it 30 years since that came out? So that's what they're saying. I guess 30 years, and I guess that Spider-Man 2099 is going to be that Spider-Verse thing too. So
yes, Miguel O'Hara. Yeah.
So that kind of might be interesting.
I actually recently read a lot of the Spider-Man 2099. I remember I told you I was reading. I had like, there's 4 or 5 paperbacks that they put out of almost a full series. Marvel. It's not bad. I think it was okay. I think you definitely would have more. if you read it at the time of it coming out, you would have more nostalgia and love for it than I did,
Yeah.
kind of visiting it for the first time. But it wasn't all garbage. Like, I thought there was some good stuff in there. I think the character himself, he's a good character, and I think that Peter David put out a series a few years ago, this original writer of Spider-Man 2099. And I don't think he's writing this newest one, but they keep bringing back these old writers that are still kicking around to be involved in these type of things. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see for longtime fans. Like, that makes more sense to me than just doing ongoing fucking event stuff. It's
Yeah.
back marquee act, like writers that are like people have like a love for, or they have like you know what I mean, like a nostalgia factor.
Yeah, they get to write them at the time that they were writing them before, just now.
Exactly.
So,
I like that. But that basically Peter David, like with that Maestro thing. He wrote that
yeah.
back in the 90s, and now he's fucking he's writing miniseries now about it. That's what I mean. Like, that kind of stuff I don't have as much of a problem with, because I know there's gonna be certain people that find value in that.
Yeah.
Whereas in the event stuff, I feel that, again, there's been so many people that have been burned so many times with them doing this type of shit. It just doesn't seem as you know what I mean, like as great a venture as they have like done when they bring people back like that and put them on a book, because there's going to be a lot of people that will love that experience where they're like, hey, I remember this, like this is my favorite writer on my favorite character from back in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
I get that.
But it's always tough when one of those stories kind of really, go viral or something, and then they try and shoehorn that into the main universe. Like let's say even with Miles Morales or whatever, like he was in the Ultimate Universe, and like he went gangbusters over there, everybody loved him, and now they try and fit him into the new universe, and it just doesn't quite fit.
That's true. No, you're right. Yeah. So there's our qualms about the comic book industry, guys. But yeah, look forward to that. I don't know if I'm on board for the 2099 stuff, but they're doing it a bunch. I think it's not just Spider-Man. I think it's like a Ghost Rider.
There's a whole whack of them.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man's looking kind of cooler than he did back in the whatever 30 years ago.
If there's one that they got to focus on being successful, it's him, especially with him being in the film, like you said, in the new Spider-Verse movie that's gonna be coming out. So yeah, I understand them bringing it out. It makes perfect sense. So, all right. So, lastly, though, I wanted to do this today. I wanted to do this periodically, like every 3 months or so. And then if we continue doing the show, to the end of the year, I wanted to have it where like we can highlight our favorite books of the year at the end of the year for you guys. But I figured this is a good way to check in, especially on like some of our lighter weeks every few months, kind of like to say what some of the books that me and Chris have really been enjoying over the past few months of doing the show. Right. So I figured this is a good check-in point to mention a top 5 of books. Just out of all the things maybe we've talked about, maybe check these out. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of a mixed bag throughout sometimes, but these are definitely 5 things that I really, really have been enjoying lately. So I wanted to mention them. All right, so we'll go one at a time, Chris.
Sure.
I don't know if you put them in any order or any.
No, not really.
Okay, I mean neither. I didn't really put too much thought into that, but I wanted to highlight 5 books. All right, so first up, I got Maze Book. Now this series has ended. Now it was only like a 5-issue miniseries. It was 5 or 6. I think this is the last issue here. Yeah, 5 issues. But I've talked about it on the out of these 3 months that we've done the show now. I've talked about the last couple of issues on the episodes, and I really, really think this was a solid miniseries that came out that's a little bit different than a lot of the stuff going on at the big 2 superhero books. By a creator I really, really enjoy his work. He wrote and drew this, Jeff Lemire. Definitely check this out. I believe the hardcover is going to be coming out in a couple months, or track down the issues, guys. Maze Book. Really, really enjoyed this book, so I wanted to mention it again. When I looked over all the books we've been talking about lately, I really felt this was a standout amongst them. So yeah, Maze Book.
So I went with Dark Ages. Yeah. Whenever this issue comes out, I'm always happy to, it's one of the first ones I want to read. I got a second printing of the first issue and a variant cover of the first issue. And it's just been a good read so far, and see how it goes. There's not so many tie-ins to it. It's just a nice self-contained story.
Yeah, Dark Ages has been good. Yeah. And that's the thing too, guys. I should mention, even though things didn't make our top 5, doesn't mean we're not enjoying them. There's a lot of books that are still good that I just didn't put in my top 5, but they're still really good books. It's just, we just figured we kind of focus on 5 of them and highlight those, right? So, all right. So I don't know if this one's going to end up in your list too, Chris. I guess we'll see. Dark Knights of Steel. Dark Knights of Steel, like you had mentioned with Dark Ages, similar in that sense. Yeah, it's something I always look forward to checking out when it comes out. I just love the mix of fantasy, reimaginings, and like a Game of Thrones-esque setting of these characters. Always interesting and new, and the art's been great throughout so far. So yeah, Dark Knights of Steel, also written by Tom Taylor, who writes Dark Ages. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but yeah, that's
Yeah, same thing. You know, I'm just glad these books both don't come out on the same week.
yeah,
Well, it's always I'm always looking forward to when the new issue of that comes out.
yeah, absolutely. You're up next there, Chris.
Okay, and I got Devil's Reign here. This is one of my first sort of Marvel mega events that started up since I've started getting comics. So, and it's just kind of gets the memories of Civil War and a whole bunch of other stuff I missed. So I like it. Daredevil, can't go wrong.
Nope. Yep, no, for sure. So surprisingly, this is the only Marvel book out of the 5 that I'm highlighting here today, which is crazy for me because I'm a Marvel fan first and foremost, but I guess it speaks to some of the quality of books that are coming out from the other publishers. Not to say that there isn't any other good Marvel books, because like Chris just mentioned one, Devil's Reign, that's great. Dark Ages. But Thor, I think consistently, this has been a really solid title for me. Donny Cates is doing a great job ever since taking over from Jason Aaron being on the title for a long, long ass time and doing such a great job throughout. But from the start of this run, and even just like from doing this show, I think consistently every time we talk about this book, he gets a great big rating from me. I'm really interested in the stories that he's telling, and I'm always looking forward to what's coming up. Like, I mean, with the Hulk thing coming up, where he's going to face off and cross over his titles in a one-shot issue between the two of them, tying in kind of all like the aspects of his other stuff that he's been doing, possibly some Venom things, possibly some, some more of the what do you call it? Marvel cosmic type stuff that he's been writing in his other stuff. Like Donny Cates is always a new, a good writer to look out for these days, but his Thor is great consistently.
Yeah, Thor would have been on my list there, but I just picked up some other ones instead. But it's one of my favorites as well. I'm just going to go with the Wastelanders, the Wastelander crew that's been coming out. And once again, this is something I missed as well. I missed all the old man Logan stuff. And just so whenever I get to drop into this world and kind of see what's happened and where everybody is and who's alive and who's dead, it's always great. I like even just kind of reading about the old stuff that I missed in there. And not just this issue in particular, but just the whole. I think there's like 5 issues that came out. Only one was a dud, and I think I missed the Doom one. But
yeah,
I'm liking it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's no surprise. I know you like the Wastelanders world. Yeah, no, for sure. As do I. Human Target. I was looking forward to picking this up based solely on Tom King's name and the fact that I read all the the 12 issue series type stuff he's been bringing out through DC over the past couple of years. I always like his stuff. But this is my favorite thing I think he possibly has ever written, and we're only 4 issues in. I just can't tell you how much I love enough about how much I love this book. It's been my favorite book of the week a couple times, I think, on the show now. And I've only probably talked about 3 issues on the show. Yeah, the art's just great. I like the pacing of the story. I like the story being told. I just like the concept a hell of a whole lot. So yeah, Human Target, really unexpected in the sense that this is a fucking character I knew existed, but I could not care less about, nor have I ever read anything about. But yeah, he's knocking it out of the park with this series. Human Target, it's always something I look forward to.
And the last one I have here, it's the Mary Jane and Black Cat, the one shot, and it's more of just the story that's going on with Peter Parker and the Spider-Man story. Not Amazing Spider-Man in general, but anything where Peter Parker's involved in there always seem to be great issues.
Yep.
And the Ben Reilly stuff is growing on me, but those Beyond issues, there's only been one of those Beyond issues so far that has been decent in my opinion. That's the one with Doc Ock and May. But this was a great issue here.
Absolutely.
Great cover, great everything.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and lastly, I've gushed about this book but enough on the show already, and I think I got Chris into reading it as well. Nightwing, of course. It's just a feel-good book, great art, fun adventure. Great feel good moments. It's just a book that I think we need these days. We need a book that's not dark and serious and kind of a little bit outside of the norm from what you expect on a monthly basis from DC. And I think he's got the characterization of Dick down very well in this. Nightwing, Tom Taylor, once again, Tom Taylor appearing between our lists here about like 3 times. Dark Knights of Steel, this Dark Ages. He's doing a hell of a job on a lot of the titles that he's been writing for DC. So and Marvel for that matter with Dark Ages. So yeah, Nightwing, just a very, very good book. And yeah, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I have 3 DC things, 1 Marvel, and one of them was a Dark Horse thing because I do read a lot of like creator owned stuff, but yeah, I it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy because again, it's just DC. I feel like there's so much Batman that comes out of DC, and that's pretty much all I read. But I am glad I was able to spread it out a little bit, right? And there's no Batman specific title. Nightwing, yes, it's in the same vein, but Human Target, Dark Knights of Steel, not really. So I'm glad that I was able to at least highlight that, not like fucking here's 5 Batman books. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
All right, so there you go, guys.
Well, I do like the Nightwing, but the fuck, I just don't like Nightwing.
No, but that's the thing,
You
though.
know what I mean? Like, it's a good story. It's just fucking. This guy should work on a different character or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's
You
fair.
got into the Green Lanterns or something. I want to get into some of the Green Lantern stuff, but I heard that's been a shit show in the Green Lantern Corps. So I didn't. It's been tough to jump on into any of that stuff. Or get him into Wonder Woman or something. Like I want to buy some Wonder Woman comics, but I heard that story's just been a little bit off as well. Or not. There was any of the previews of the story or what's going on in there. Nothing's really, grabbing my attention.
Well, that's the thing, and then I think that's why it's good to follow artists and writers that you enjoy, because then if it isn't necessarily a character that you gravitate towards, or even maybe it is a character you really love, but you hear that they're not really great at the moment, that's usually why I follow kind of creative teams around. So I'll be like, yeah, I'll be reading this character for a little bit, and then like, oh, I heard Wonder Woman's good, and this person I like working on it, then I'll go check that out. So I try not to focus so much these days on like characters so much, but more like, so it kind of puts me outside my comfort zone a little bit more, where I just follow more creators and be like, yeah, okay, I know I like his stuff, so maybe I'll like this, right? And it gives me a chance to try out new things that way, right? But yeah, like it's a shame, like, because I do hear the same things about some of the things you mentioned there. So I'm like, I would like to read some of those characters, but when there's not people that really entice me to go check out them, and I don't care about them all that much, I'm not just going to pick it up on a whim and be like, I'm a hard. The only thing like that I told you is Batman and Spider-Man. Like Batman and Spider-Man, I see I'll always check it out, like their ongoings, because like I like those characters, but like that much. But other than that, I just can't do that with everybody, where I'm like, I care that much about the characters, where I'm like, yeah, I'll read any shit comic they put out with the character in it, right? No, it's not going to happen, right? So,
yeah.
Anyways, all right. So what we're picking up next week, guys, I changed it from what we're looking forward to, because Chris made the point last time where he's like, yeah, we're not really looking forward to this. He called that one of the beyond, but yeah, go ahead, Chris. Let us know about what you're picking up next week.
All right. We're looking at Black Widow, Fantastic Four, Hulk, Spider-Man, Thor, Venom, X Lives, X-Men, or 10 Lives, X-Men, Justice League. I'm going to try and see what's going on in there. I think they're going to be starting up the Death stories, Nightwing, and I'm getting Iron Fist just because it's got one of the X-Gwen covers.
Nice. Yeah, another big week again for me. Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Batman the Knight, Fantastic Four. I'll see about Batman the Knight. That one's on the chopping block right now after the first issue. Hulk, Justice League, King Conan, Nightwing, Primordial. That's the last issue of that series. Thank God. A Righteous Search for Vengeance, Silver Coin, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Also the last issue of that series. That's been good. Thor, X-Men, and 10 Lives of Wolverine, and Devil's Reign Superior 4. I'm gonna check that out too. Actually, that's the second issue of that. Talked about the first one. That was like last minute kind of addition.
Maybe I'll try and read that online.
Yeah, that's how I'm reading it, because I didn't order them. So yeah, so there you go. Big interesting looking week there, guys. Next week, it's fun as always, and look forward to that. And yeah, now we get to the moment of truth here, our favorite book of the week here.
Okay.
I guess it shouldn't be any surprise now with the ratings this week as far as that went for me. So I'll show you mine first because I'm interested to see what Chris picked. Yeah, mine is Suicide Squad, Blaze #1, which was again unexpected last minute purchase. Really enjoyed it. I guess the only runner up for me was again like another unexpected issue is that Batman Catwoman, which is a pretty solid issue out of the series. But yeah, this head and above, head and shoulders above everything else.
Yeah, mine is Spider-Man. No, it's not Spider-Man.
I listen, guys. I really love the Slinger. Not gonna lie.
I'll go with Avengers.
Wow.
Mine was between Avengers and Maestro, but I just seen that Celestial Mountain getting blown up, and I don't think the next issue is going to continue what happened in this issue, but doesn't have anything to do with this issue. I'll take this one here. And they got the Panther getting powered up, and I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah. Okay. I might have to start checking that out again online or something, man. You're fucking with these Avengers. You're really fucking with me. I went 50 fucking issues strong with that series, and they fucking all these things are coming out
Read
now.
this one online. It's worth the read online.
Yeah, I think I'll check it out.
You don't have to know what's going on in before, and just seeing that Doom and the Kid Thanos and
that's the thing. You just come on here like Kid Thanos and Sorcerer Supreme Doom and this and that. And I'm just like, this sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Stay tuned on that one, guys. We'll see. All right. But yes, once again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that like button. Keep the conversation going. Hit us up in the comments. Tell a friend. Tell somebody you know who's interested in comics. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, thank you if you follow us over this new YouTube channel venture. We'll see how things go over here and spread the word. And hopefully we get our subscriber and view count up. But either way, it's to me, it's nice to get together and talk with Chris about comics, to have another friend that's interested in the hobby again. And I've been having a hell of a lot of fun doing that at the very least. So yeah, no, this has been a good time, man.
Yeah, it's a good time for me too. That's it.
Sorry. Now you're going to say something else. I thought you opened your mouth to say something, and I was just like,
no. Yeah, I was just saying, it's a good reason to get a couple drinks into while we chit chat about comics.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for tuning in.